Well, you know what I mean? My mom was brother. Oh, no, that's
Hello everybody. How are you all? Brilliant. I'd like to thank you all for coming here today for Myles's memorial. It's most appreciated that you've all shown up and taken time to do it. Thank you very much once again. The family and myself very much appreciate everything you've done, your efforts, the whole lot. It's been fantastic. Before we start, I have to get the crap out of the way, which is, if there is an earthquake, run. Wherever you want. There are exits over that side, and there's an exit there, and there's an exit at the back. So everyone, if there's anything happens, we all go and meet out in the car park. That's basically it. I mean, you've all lived through it, you all know what's going on. I've done it, it's out of the way. My name's Matt. I'm married to Katrina, Myles' sister. I'm the one he liked out of brother-in-laws, which is why I'm here, because, you know, that's how it is. So I would like to actually thank you once again for all coming, and as a show of support to the family and to your friend Myles, which is brilliant. It's fantastic. I'd like to start off with Myles Byron McInnes, the younger years. Is it? No, I don't need it on there, I'm shouting.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Myles.
I don't think I need this. Myles was the oldest of 4 siblings. His mum and dad, Gilbert and Gloria, to his mum, well, he was born in the Solomon Islands. Now, I didn't know that. I don't know if any of you did either, but there he was. And it was just after a cyclone where absolutely everything was destroyed. So poor Gloria and Myles were discharged so they could bring in and treat the cyclone patients, which I thought was a pretty auspicious start to Myles' career. That's pretty good. And after that, they moved to Whangarei, and then they moved to Littleton and Christchurch in 1973. Myles' first school was Whangarei Primary, and then he went to Littleton. I was there at the time. I do not remember him, I'm sad to say. He had a difficult time there, which is hardly surprising because it's Littleton. And he didn't settle in very well, and he wasn't there for very long. Afterwards, Myles went to St. Mark's School in Opawa, which is kind of like going from rags to riches. And strangely enough, he didn't like that either. So he moved to a Opawa primary school, which he enjoyed. I mean, it's a bit like the 3 Bears, isn't it? It's like, you know, good, bad, okay. Then he went to Christchurch South Intermediate and Cashmere High, where he made lifelong friends. And many of you are here today, obviously, and that's a good thing. After moving to Littleton, the family then moved to Hawford Road in Opawa. At the top of the road, there was a 4 square, which also had a car wrecking yard next to it, that Myles and his friends used to have great time searching for the carcasses of wrecked cars, and hence his love of old cars, bikes, etc., etc. He also used to steal petrol from the petrol tanks of them so he could fire up his wee car, which is nothing wrong with that. I find that completely acceptable. There were many memories that he made with his sisters at Hawthorne Road. Angela has a scar from the bike Myles and Gilbert made for him. They made it out of old parts. They made it well. They didn't put brakes on it. Obviously, trying to make a pig's ear out of a silk purse out of a pig's ear, Angela still has the scar. He and his sisters went eeling. He had a pet eel called Emma from the Heathcote River, who ended up outside his bedroom window in an old set of cowrie tubs, fed regularly with worms. However, an eel being an eel, escaped and crawled under the house, expired, and then started to smell. Strangely enough, no one was blamed for this misdemeanour. He got his sisters, to follow him into the mudflats at Lake Ellesmere to catch flounders on the many summer camps that the family went to Booraw Bay. While camping at Lake Georgina, he would catch baby crayfish, yabbies, and then take them home to his tank in his room. At that point, Myles then done a movie, actually an advert, for The Edge, on the off chance that he actually made something that was worthwhile and would win a prize. I would like to show you this now. I think it's cracking. Waiting. All good things come to those who wait. Just remember that. No, really, it wasn't good. It was good. Hey, honest. Maybe it's just too good. Maybe we shouldn't show it. I mean, I don't want you guys freaking out. Oh no, here we go.
No sound, sorry.
You're not allowed sound. It's too profane. I mean, come on, look at that. We don't have sound. What do you want? Not bad, I thought. I'd now like to ask Anna Boswell to come and do a reading. Thank you, Anna.
Kia ora koutou. I met Myles through my partner Conrad, who's one of the friends that Myles acquired when he was at Cashmere High. And so I've known Myles for almost as long as I've known Conrad, which is not quite 24 years, seems like quite a long time. When I met them, they were preparing to kind of bugger off to Nicaragua on this big adventure that they were planning, and had an amazing time while they were over there. And I think Myles has made a huge effort to kind of keep up with us and our family over the years, checking in with us. He visited us several times after he shifted to Perth, and he used to turn up and he'd bring me Queen Anne chocolates, just to show Conrad up, I think, to kind of, Conrad, why aren't you buying me chocolates? Manoeuvre. And he would come with his amazing conversation as well. He would talk at huge length about issues to do with New Zealand history, New Zealand culture, the past that he was so passionate about. And we used to have really long conversations about all sorts of topics that he was thoroughly passionate about. As a hugely generous person, he used to recommend books to me, and he would sometimes send me books as well. So I've got a book here that I just wanted to do a short reading out of. That's a book that Myles ordered for me. It turned up, and we talked about it afterwards. And it's a book that he was absolutely passionate about. It's one of his favourite books in the world, and a kind of huge generosity of spirit, wanting to kind of share that and connect with people. So I'm going to read from this. It's just a couple of paragraphs from the opening chapter, and the chapter is called The Deserter. It's about a soldier who's just kind of leaving camp and striking out on his own. I'm going to say that when I read it, I can't read it with the intonation that Myles would give it, the kind of effects that he would kind of put into his voice. But as I read, I'd really like you to imagine, what it would sound like through Myles's voice. Might be the sense. So I've chosen just these couple of paragraphs. Some really vivid detail in there, this kind of thirst for adventure. There's some humour that's going to come through. There's a male figure who's kind of sort of flipping the bird to authority. He's sort of striking out on his own, drawn into this sense of adventure. And I think for me, this book, Myles's love of this book, is kind of helping me to make sense of kind of what's happened here, or what might have gone on. So as I read this, I want to picture, and I'm asking you to picture Myles reading this book, enjoying this book, kind of cherishing and kind of chuckling over this book, identifying with the yarn that's being told here, identifying with the character, a kind of deserting soldier. And I want to think and ask you to think about desertion, sort of sense of somebody leaving, and kind of leaving before you're quite ready for them to leave. This kind of tale sort of encapsulates something of that. And I'm trying to think of Myles sort of striking out on his next adventure. So the reading goes like this. On the banks of one of the many swift rivers that roll down to the Tasman Sea through the Taranaki Plains, a young man in the blue dress uniform of a private soldier sat smoking his pipe. He was dripping with water, and a little pool had collected where he crouched in the fern a few feet from the banks of the stream. He had plainly just emerged from the river. His clothes were torn, and he was capless. He was a man of about middle size, spare of build, with sharp dark eyes, and a bronzed complexion that told of past life under the tropic sun. Less than an hour previously, he had left his comrades' camp, the tented lines of Her Majesty's 57th Regiment, on the ferny flats of Manawatu, left unofficially and without his arms, strolling down towards the Tangahui River as if for a bathe. A shut-eye sentry was on duty that morning, and the deserter's tent mates too were sympathetically blind to his departure. The Tangahui was the borderline between the country covered by the British Rifles and the unconquerable bush of the Māori rebels. Towards this Rubicon, he made his way through the thick high fern, which soon concealed him from view. He attempted to ford the rapid, muddy river, but it was up to his waist and almost swept him off his feet. Struggling ashore again, he took to the fern and travelled slowly and with great toil through it, keeping parallel with the course of the Tangahui and heading down the stream. He forced his way through the thick fern like a wild pig, to use his own simile. Thank you.
Would now like to play a song, The Wave by Sam Hunt.
I want to come back as a wave, when the summer breaks and on beaches, full of people with five-line benches, spread delicate down, slowly the mocking tide beginning. I want to come back as a wave that scatters among the babies, go down and take them up the breeze, splatter, spew with rapids, make everybody beautiful. I want to come back as a wave, so always near, so out of reach, so when they're running down the beach, they glowing bodies fading home, my soul will still be upon them. I want to come back as a wave, with the moon's on, no one will know what I'm on, I will cruise some desolate path, say share or music and wine. I want to come back as a wave, regathering forces, spread myself in the spring, leaving on estuaries, attend to the mating of stingrays, time, Memphis. I want to come back as a wave, regather forces, spend myself in the spring, moving on estuaries, attend to the mating of stingrays. I want to come back as a wave of the estuaries, bare coasts, all the memories. I want to lift you now and float you as you do come as a wave.
Myles McInnes. the teenage years. This is where it gets exciting, everyone. In his teenage years, the McInnes family lived in a great house in Domain Terrace. I'm sure a lot of you here will remember that well. There were quite a few parties when their mum and dad were out of town. One of its best additions was the outdoor spa. Myles would invite the boys over for a few beers before going to town. But Myles also discovered that the Black Horse pub down the road sold a special, a brewer's dozen of Lion Ice beers for the price of a six-pack. I mean, really, that's not bad going. Needless to say, after 13 beers each in the hot tub, no one made it to town. He loved the original Carlton Mill pub, which would sell $3.95 jugs back in the day. Many trips were made there with the lads before heading into city nightclubs. On the odd occasion, going all the way through to 5 a.m. at the Palladium. Oh my God, he went to the Palladium? Sorry, I meant to Get Ladium. That's what it was known as, and everyone knows it. There's no denying it. And come out just before the sunrise at 5 o'clock. I understand, been there, done that. Myles had his own sleep out, which was always messy. Although he did have the best lemon tree in the entire neighbourhood at his door. Because let's face it, the toilet was 4 steps away. He always used to fertilise it, even though it was that close. The house that they lived in had an 8-car garage, where him and his dad worked on their collection of cars. His Mark I Cortina, his Austin A30 and his A35, which he used to do donuts in on the front yard. We will be doing donuts out in the main driveway about 20 minutes after we've finished here. So if anyone wants a crack, not a problem. His Solex, his Honda 50 moped, and his Pooch 2-seater, his BSA Bantam, and all the other scooters that really no one has any idea what they were. He also was an avid ham radio operator. His handle, now get this, was Don. I mean, surprise, surprise. He would spend many nights with his father on his Marconi radio, his CB, and his Yasu handheld VHF, chatting to people all over the world and making friends. He could also listen to the next door neighbour's phone calls if he was that way inclined, which I hear he was. He once told me that Stewart Island has the best reception. I had to believe him. What else could I do? Myles was lucky. He got to do a 4-year apprenticeship with his father. Gilbert taught him everything he knew. He taught him a trade in electronics, and they worked from home. The best thing about working from home for Myles was 11 o'clock starting time. Nothing wrong with that, sounds good to me. I would like now for everyone to have a look at a new 48-hour film video that he did in 2006.
I'll leave this just because it's not, I'm not going to get the audio, so I'll leave it to you.
Okay, we'll leave it to the end.
Yeah.
Needless to say, he was nominated for Best Actor but didn't get it. We now have a poem sent to us from friends of his in Perth. I will be reading it because no one else is going. Unless anyone's going. Anyone going? Anyone going? Anyone going? Going once, going twice? All right, I'll do it. Don's gone. Myles, Don, Dad, Fool. Sam Hunt, James K. Baxter, Blurter, The Dudes, and Rob Muldoon, to name a few. Cult movies, the 70s, retro Kiwiana antiques, the 1974 Commonwealth Games, that joint 21st birthday bash with Cowie, Yardies and poetry. A great night had by all. How you loved the Television One t-shirt we made. Fondues, parties, smoked food, bonfires and beers. Are you sure we should keep using the bellows, Don? Yes, Dad, you replied. That night in Deloraine Street, pad caught fire and nearly burned to the ground. You enjoying hovering, John Dory, and sending it back out to sea. You made us laugh, and our mouths agape with the stories and poems you'd recall. You were a supportive ear away from the land of the long white cloud. You kicked it in the guts way too early, fool. Don's party is over. So long, Don. Love the apes. Nicky and Peter Woodcock.
I am going to read a poem I wrote based on a James K. Baxter poem. The house was usual enough. It had a lounge, a bed, a lawn, a blue sky over it, and even an conservatory we liked to lounge and chat in. My dad, Myles and I did what mates do. Barbecue delicious bits of lamb, watch the charcoal flames rise up, smoke cake around a salmon, listening to the booming thunder as loud as a gunshot, and talked about the wonders of science. Chatting, barbecuing, eating, doing nothing important. These are some of my memories of Myles. Thank you.
Myles Byron McInnes, The Later Years. After he'd done a stint in jail, apprenticeship. Dyslexia is a great thing, isn't it? Especially when you decide you've got it right there and then. Myles decided to do his first OE in Nicaragua. I was hoping it would be Peru because it's easier to pronounce. Central America, he raised his money to get there by polishing shoes outside the Christchurch Cathedral with his mate Conrad. Is Conrad here? Yeah. Where are you? Brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Once he got to Nicaragua, he spent his days working with street kids. One story that I heard was that Myles used to walk around with his pockets turned out so that everyone in the town would realise he was skint and wouldn't bother robbing them. Makes perfect sense if you ask me. After his OE, he returned home and took a job in Timaru at Sanford's Fishery, where he met a lot of friends that I actually knew, which was quite surprising once again. Myles and I's path crossed so many times over the years without us actually meeting. It was quite amazing until I met Katrina. Quite amazing.
What do you mean to leave?
Well, I didn't know him until I met you. I knew of him. I'd met a lot of friends. A lot of my friends knew him. Then he got a job with the government, the dole, and he moved into a flat in Deloraine Street. After the passing of his father in 2007, Myles decided to go back to Polytech and get his further wireless communications tickets. Once he got that, he decided to start afresh and he moved to Perth. He lived in a flat, saving pennies, and then he also lived in his office where he just sort of squatted, I suppose is the correct word, until his boss caught him and went, "Oh, dude, you can't live here, it's health and safety." So then he bought a house, which he loved. with his self-made outdoor bath and his very Kiwiana old-school decorated home. He was a happy man and very house-proud. He had a lemon tree, but it wasn't as good as the one the other place. He didn't actually fertilise it anywhere near as much. He took on a job in Kalgoorlie in the middle of the Aussie desert. He worked hard and made more friends. He was offered a job to work for CSE as a wireless tech in the diamond mines of northwest Aussie. And we talked about this, and there was no way he was going to shelf one and bring it home to me. So he accepted this and was looking forward to the job at hand. Unfortunately, life had different plans for Myles. It was his time to start again, either in heaven or reincarnated as a dog, in which case I'd like to say, get out of it, get out of it, get out of it, get your tail out of the way. Which is one thing he used to say to me quite often. I never had a tail. He lives in our memories. He went fast, which his family are happy to know. He was happy and he was loved. What more could you ask for? Some of the quotes, I'm fairly sure most of you will know. You know I'm always right. Everyone has choices. Yeah, right. Interests. Myles used to be into making small films. Of course, you've seen a few of them. Poetry, and on many occasions he followed Sam Hunt's roadshows. He had a collection of over 300 books, which he may or may not have read. He particularly read books which included the books of Rod Muldoon when he was in power. And at one political meeting when Mr. Muldoon was presenting, Myles presented himself with all his books and said, "Hey, come on, mate, sign them, will you?" They shook hands and walked away. Absolutely fantastic. The last thing I will touch on is the family loved Chihuahua dogs, at which time Mum and Dad had 8 of them. Myles named one Muldoon, strangely enough. And of all the dogs, he loved this the most. And he was the love of his life. I'd now like you perhaps carry on. Do you want to keep going on? Do you want to do the 40-hour film festival?
No, the Wood Festival.
Because everything went pear-shaped. It was quite good. My council did. I now have some online obituaries from people from around the world, because Myles did touch a lot of people all over the place, that I would like to read to you, if you don't mind. You can tell me no. Paul Shepherd from Greenmount, Perth, Western Australia, said, "Too good a mate and a top bloke. Thank you, Myles, for your friendship and kindness. It's made moving here into the new house that much better. What is my pleasure for the past few years is to relax in your backyard and discuss politics, history and the world in general, while enjoying your potbelly stove and a few icy Salernos. This place will not be the same without your conversation and the awesome smell of your barbecue. Great to have a neighbour, yes, but I am so honoured that you are my friend and that nothing was a hassle for you. Rest in peace, mate." Amanda Croft from Christchurch wrote, "Oh, Myles, it's been a long time, but you still bring a smile to my face, remembering your passion for James K. Baxter poetry, Kiwiana, and the fibre optic Christmas tree. You were a funny, funny man, full of kindness and sharp wit. And the rest of the higher realm, and rest in peace in the higher realms, my friend, till we catch up again. A pair of sandals. A pair of sandals, old black pants, and a leather coat. I must go, my friends, into the dark, the cold, the first beginning, where the ribs of the ancestor are the rafters of a meeting house, broken windows, and the floor white with bird dung in there. The ghosts gather who will instruct me. And when the river fog rises, tira araiti tanua tiana, the whole, I have no idea what that means, sorry. The sun, who is like the Lord, will warm my bones, and his marrow. And his arrows will pierce, the centre of the shapeless clay of my mind. That's very nice. Chris from Brisbane, Queensland. Myles, we are going to miss you, mate. Thanks for all the good times in KAL. Well, I imagine that's Kuala Lumpur. Kalgoorlie. I am honoured I had the chance in life to meet you. The laughs we had after work with dinner and a couple of drinks will make me smile forever. You will be with us forever, mate. Sincerely. Laura Walker from Perth in Australia. I only knew Myles for a short while. His general knowledge of old things and his passion for film will live with me forever. His quirky ability to recite lines of poem and movies in the most bizarre of circumstances brought a smile. Extremely humbling to have met you, mate. Condolences to the McInnes family and friends of Myles. He was an absolute pleasure knowing him. Sincerest regards, the Walkers. Now from Perth in Western Australia. John Simpson, Christchurch. Myles was a person whose passion, integrity, incredible sense of humour, and unique perspective on life always made a lasting impression. He made me feel very lucky to know him and to call him a friend. He will be sorely missed, and the world is without doubt less fun without him. From the Simpson family, we will pass our heartfelt condolences to all the McInnes family. A true gentleman and a true friend who will be missed. Love you, Myles. Hooroo, Don. Sean Latham, Western Australia. I had the pleasure working with Myles in Kalgoorlie as his apprentice. He was a great mate, colleague and mentor. In the short time I knew Myles, he left an everlasting impression on me. His advice played a major role in my decision to pursue a uni degree, and for this I will be forever grateful. Rest easy, my friend, you will be missed. Sean Latham from Western Australia. Nick Mortimer. Rest easy, mate. Sad to hear of your passing. Remembering our fun times as kids. Till we meet again, brother. That's it. There we have the life and times of Myles Byron McKinnon. I would like now to ask any one of you to come up and say a few words, if anyone has anything they want to say. Is anyone? Conrad? Shouting.
So I met Myles when we were at school. I'd come down to Christchurch and he was sitting in the common room reading Muldoon. And I thought, holy shit. And I thought, what an interesting guy. You know, he really was different. He was one of life's unique, interesting people. And that was the beginning of our very long friendship. I've heard some really good stories, and I've sort of thought about those stories, and I've got a few of my own. He was very generous with his time and his skills and his knowledge. We spent the weekend stripping my car back out of Mark III Zephyr. It was an ugly thing, but it went. And so he helped me tear that thing apart and put it back together. And we were really pleased with ourselves because we thought we'd done a fantastic job. My dad is a mechanic, It's been 40 years. We drove to Kaikoura and back, and I said, oh, the car's going well, Dad. He said, not bad for a car running on 5 cylinders. So we hadn't actually put it back together properly. We were missing a cylinder. But he was so generous with his time. And I think the other thing that was wonderful about Myles was his sense of humour. He rang me one year and said, come down to Ettrick, mate. Come down to Ettrick. There's heaps of people, heaps of chicks. This is where he's in. And you'll have a blast. And so Stephen Little and I got him in Mark III, and we drove down. And it took us 8 hours to get there because I got lost past Dunedin. And then I arrived, coming over the hill, and there was nothing but a pub and 3 people. And so it was, okay. Heaps of chicks. But we spent the New Year's driving around Central Otago. And the bit that was great about his humour, and there's some photos in the book there where we were camped on the side of the lake, and he'd taken a bunch of beers and stuck them in the water, and I was up on the bank, and this wave came along and just took them off, and they started sinking. And I said, in you go. He said, no. I said, here you go. He said, no, mate. I said, fuck. So I ran down and jumped in thinking it would only come up to here, went straight over my head. And when I came back out, he was roaring with laughter. And I'm not sure to this day whether he did that on purpose. But he thought it was hilarious. He did that. So he had a wonderful sense of humour. We did the trip to Nicaragua. It was an amazing trip. We did a lot of crazy things. I think I mentioned on the chat group, we got chased through the barrios. We used to sit. We went sailing down the coast of Costa Rica with some people, and I remember him just standing on the beach quoting Sam Hunt to these North American embassy people. And they didn't know what was going on, but he was having a blast. And he did amazing work as well. So we set up a whole workshop for the kids. And he taught those kids how to build. And there's kids today who he did classes with who have engineering degrees.
Okay.
And then over the rest of the years when I came back and Ella and I had kids, and Myles was a wonderful friend. So he would call up and, hey fool, and we'd have a chat and we'd talk shit. And I look forward to those calls. And then he would visit, and as Anna said, he'd make me look bad because he was such a good listener and such a good conversationalist. And he was so generous with his thoughts and thoughts. He became a part of our family. My kids love him. So yeah, our lives were better for him. So, thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
Unless I've got my midwife voice on, not today. What was that? Is it working?
Give it a tap.
Is that working? Oh, cool. For those who don't know me, I'm Myles' eldest sister. I'm reading this out for Trevor, who has known my brother for 36 years. I was looking at that, Trevor, and I thought, that's a long time. So it's a privilege to read this for you. So, Myles has been a good friend of mine for 36 years. He was more like a brother than a friend. Our friendship first kicked off. When it kicked off, it was at South Intermediate Library, when Myles sidled up next to me while I was reading. And he said, so, you like coral reefs then? Probably didn't say like that, but in a Myles voice. And we've been friends ever since. The thing I liked most about Myles was how interesting he was
and also that he showed an interest in whoever he talked to. During our schooling years, we had a lot of laughs. It always made me laugh how Myles could turn somebody that may not have got on with him, and then start it into a good friend, and that person would soon be doing what he was doing. Before you knew it, he would have a gang of guys driving around with CB radios in their cars with huge aerials hanging off their roofs. Who had one of those cars? This extended to catchphrases and the clothing he wore. For example, on Mufti Day at Kashmir High School, he nearly had everyone wearing fat ties. This is how Myles rubbed off on people. We were always up to something, whether it was harvesting whitebait, shellfish, or whatever we could get our hands on, including urban foraging. Myles would love to tell a story and hear a story. The crazier, the better, with his black humour and his realistic and philosophical views on life. Myles loved outdoors, especially the trips to the coast. We'd always have a great time over there, admiring the scenery, taking photographs, making a huge bonfire on the beach and having a few beers. Another outing we often enjoyed together was going to Corsair Bay, collecting driftwood for the barbecue and seaweed for our gardens. We all know Myles loved a good fire, and Deloraine Street had an open fire and would use coal to fuel it. He would be leaning over the fire, sweat dripping from his forehead, pumping the bellows that he had acquired, saying in a Scottish accent, burn those coals.
Burn the coal.
That's it. Emulating the Scotsman in the boiler room on a steamship. He would also get the fire to the point where it got so hot that it would drape towels over the vinyl couch so it wouldn't melt. He did this on quite a regular occurrence during winter, and one night he got a little bit too enthusiastic with the bellows and he had some good friends over for drinks. This was the final night for his open fire. The continuous high temperatures caused the hearth to really dry out, smoulder and catch a light while Myles was already retired to bed. Thankfully his neighbour and friend Claire smelt the smoke and managed to wake him. And I then got a phone call from him for me to pick him up. There he was outside my driveway in his underwear, wearing gumboots in the snow, with a duvet wrapped around him.
Well, let's be stressed.
We all had a few drinks on his balcony to celebrate his lucky escape. From that day on, fires were restricted to the outside. Myles was always a supportive friend, a great listener, a great conversationalist, and you would always have a laugh when you saw him. What I miss about the most is hearing his unmistakable laugh and his eccentric and quirky personality. I love you, mate. Rest in peace, my friend. While I'm up here, I've just got a story from a very short story, but because today's about you guys. I've been in Perth for 3 weeks, so I've done quite a lot for him. So this is a gift to you. So make the most of it. If you've got anything to say, do. This young lad that Myles had a really impact on, which actually Conrad reminds me of the stories from the boys he encouraged to go to university. It is a funny story, but I'm not a good funny story person, but I'll give it a go. Those that know Myles well will laugh. So this is from his apprentice in Kalgoorlie who he spent over a year with. Okay, it was the start of our foam tower rescue course, and we were practicing a rescue technique while suspended from the bottom of the tower. The goal was for the rescuer, Myles, to descend down his rope and essentially mount the rescuee, me, which is Sean, so he could connect me to his rope and lower us to the ground. Myles descended down to me, but somehow ended up arse about face in the most literal sense that his bum was right in my face. With the harness squeezing him tight, Myles was forced to let rip a big fart. Yeah, right in my face. At which point I exclaimed if I ever required rescuing, he should just climb up, cut my rope and leave gravity. Meanwhile, Luke, our supervisor, and the course instructor were in an uncontrollable fit of laughter, as it was the best thing to ever happen anywhere. Even 6 months later, we would roll around and lose it whenever the memory came to mind. When I made the move out of Kalgoorlie, I'd been stuck in a rut for a fair while, finally things were looking up because I met Myles. He was the perfect bloke to help me find my way and get back on track. His intelligent, quirky sense of humour and supportive attitude made him a pleasure to work with. We shared a lot of laughs while we worked and talked movies, music and life in general. Apparently Sean was allowed his music only in the afternoon and Myles had his talk back in the morning apparently because they spent up to 16 hours in a car going into the desert. So that was kind of him. Well, they made a good team and always had each other's backs. After a year of working alongside Myles, I had the confidence to consider something I dreamt of, which was getting a law degree. So with his encouragement, I pulled the pin on Kalgoorlie and headed back to Perth. I'll always be grateful to Myles for the kindness and support he showed me, and will think of him any time I feel like throwing in the towel. If there's ever a guy who truly marched to the beat of his own drum, Myles was the one. And you'll always be missed by those whose lives are touched. And that's from Sean. So I'll leave that here.
Is there anyone else that would like to say something nice about Myles? At the end of the show, we're doing something not nice about Myles, but that's okay. We'll get to that later.
Hi everyone, I'm Sally. I'm a little bit nervous, so bear with me. Known Myles and the family since I was about 12, 13 when I became friends with Lou when I was younger. And I'm sorry, my story's a little bit R18, so I figure you'll all be okay with that because of Myles. But I used to sit around on his couch in Deloraine Street and I left my partner, who I'd been with for a really long time, and he'd try and give me advice, you know, that all men were monkeys and, you know, all this sort of stuff, and we'd drink wild turkey and get really chopped. And one day he said to me, oh, you know, Sally, I've known you for a long time now, so I think I can let you in on my secret. And I was like, oh shit, what's that? And he goes, come down to the garage with me. And I was drunk, because he fed me up on whiskey, and I was like, oh, I'm nervous, what are we doing in the garage? And he's going, shush, shush, shush. So I was like, okay, so we get in the garage, and there's like this bookcase thing at the back, and it was like, okay, what's this? What's this? And he's going, shush, shush, shush. Next thing he bends down, and it's on wheels, and he wheels it out, and he had a couple of special little plants growing there. I was like, just, yeah, okay, cool. And I was sort of linking into that because Trev, in your story, you were talking about the fire at Deloraine Street. Well, after he went to Trev's in his duvet and his, gumboots, he turned up at mine, and it was about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. He was banging on my window, my bedroom, going, let me in, let me in. Open up your garage. And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, my house is burnt down and I need to store these couple of plants in the garage. Okay. Pop them in. And then he goes, right, come with me. And then he told me that what actually had happened is when the fire brigade had come to his house to put out the fire, they told him that they, as part of signing off that they had checked everything in the fire, that they actually had to check his garage. So this fireman went down to his garage and he told me he thought his life was over, he was going to jail. But when they went in the garage, the fireman had an interest in old classic bikes. And they got talking about this bike he had for quite a long time. And then he goes to Myles, well, what's behind that bookcase thing? And Myles goes, oh, it's nothing, it's nothing. And he goes, no, because your garage is longer, like, I need to check it. And the other firemen were outside, and so he said his life flashed before his eyes. He was going to jail and all this stuff. And the fireman went in and he got his torch and he looked at the plants and he turned back and he said to the boys, all clear in here, mate, nothing to see here. So we went back to the house and everyone congregated on the deck. And we thought, well, we've got away with it, let's have a doobie and a whiskey. So we did. And then the fire brigade turned back up to check that the fire was out. We were ooh, on the deck. So they just laughed, which was pretty cool. So yeah, I guess lots of great times. Lots of partying. We were very, very close when Herbal Highs were out there in Christchurch, so yeah, I know, it was pretty bad, right? But
Terrible.
But lots of fun, and yeah, he was very close to me through a very difficult time in my life, and I'll miss him a lot. So yeah, rest in peace, Dom.
Hello all. I have written a very short poem for my brother. Okay. I have been sitting in my garden, brother, watching, waiting, knowing you'll come. In the silence I can feel you. In the cheeky fluttering of the fantail, I can see you. You, brother, are free. You are missed. You are loved. You will be remembered. You are a gift, if only for a moment. Thank you.
That was an exciting amount of stories, wasn't it? Secret compartments and garages, come on. Is there anyone else that would like to say something before I do and ruin the whole thing? Nah. Nah. Okay. I suppose you're a sister. You gonna cry?
No.
Go and get busy. Go and
You can do it. Thanks for coming. That's alright. Okay.
That was not Angie, you're all right.
I just want to say thanks to everyone for coming and supporting us as a family and Mum. I just want to say we're grateful for Matt for standing up and doing this for us. And little Fanny.
Sorry, doesn't matter. He's part of me.
I just want to say that it's been a shit of a month, and just to know that you guys came out and celebrated everything. It's been a real shit. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, that's okay. What? That's it. Okay, it's good. Yeah, I'm told it now. Well done, Anne.
No. So
Thank you for coming.
he's very soon, but we'd like anyone to stand up and talk shit.
And there's
You know, Scott, I'll see you.
You can tell us at the Windbar end. Tell them that you come.
Right.
I am Myles' brother-in-law, the one he liked. He only had two, 50-50 chance. Doing pretty good, I think. When I met Myles, he looked at me and went, "Oh, bloody good. Someone I can communicate with." And I thought that was rather good. And we hit it off straight away. We talked. It was mostly bullshit, as Myles does. He actually has a pretty good grasp of the vernacular, and we had fun. Every year I waited to catch up with him again because it was something else, some other trouble we would get up to. It was either feeding pork scraps to the dogs, or it was feeding up the eels so they would explode, or it was something else. We done it. We got on, and it was great. I loved him to pieces. He would show up, he would phone me from Australia and say, "I've got a party to go to." And it was one of you people. I wasn't invited. It was just "I've got a party to go to, Matt. You know what to do." And I would fucking make sure that he had everything he needed for when he flew in, dumped, went away. Brilliant. As a brother-in-law, I couldn't have asked for better. My other brother-in-law who lives in Scotland is a little bit, needy. Myles, forget it. I could phone him up and say, hey Myles, blah, 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 blah. We'd talk for 15, 20 minutes and that would be it. There's no need. What else do you need to do? We talk the stuff, we talk, this is what's happening, this is what I need, this is what's going on, and that would be it. And it was brilliant. He would show up, he would go, I'm staying at your place because don't tell anyone I'm here, I'm staying at your place. It'd be like, not a problem, mate. He was good value for that. And not only that, the thing I loved about Myles the most is how he would show up and go, I've been experimenting with this type of alcohol. What do you reckon? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's not bad, mate. What do you think we can do to flatten it out a bit? Nothing. Right, okay. And every time he showed up, he would bring all these different types of alcohol, and the only thing he wanted in return was steak, egg and chips for breakfast. And that's what he got. Every Christmas he showed up, it would be like, what do you got for breakfast? Oh, I've got some whitebait and some crayfish for you, mate. Yeah, thank fuck for that. I don't want to go and eat any of this other shit. It's just, yeah. So he would come to us Christmas Eve, fill himself up, off he went. And then one night he's like, that's a nice jacket. I was like, beg your pardon? He's like, your jacket, it's lovely. Because my father was at sea and he brought me back a full-length Russian jacket that he bought in Vladivostok. And he's like, that's nice, it'll go well with my hat. So he got it and he proudly wore it and he was quite happy to do this. Myles was a character. I mean, I knew him an nth of what you guys knew him, and I'm proud to know that he was such a top bloke. Trevor, one of his best friends. I thought Trevor was like a 6'9" bearded mountain hillbilly by the way that he described him to me. He's like, all right, this mate Trevor, yeah, when he's not buggering possums, he's killing rabbits and doing all this. And I was like, that's awesome, I've got to meet this guy. And I met him, and I was like, okay, this is cool, I can live with this. Myles was good. Myles was great. Myles had a sense of humour that matched mine. He was wonderfully bitter and twisted. I love that. I really do. He would pick something and him and I would run for hours with it over a nice drink of whatever he brought back, duty free, because I made him. It was just like, I can't afford that, mate, you bring it. And he was good. He was a fantastic bloke. I only knew him for a very short period of time, and you know what? I really enjoyed every single minute that I spent with him. It was small amounts of time, it wasn't great amounts of time, but he was always there, and he could always, he would phone me up and it'd be like, hey Dad, what are you up to? Nothing, what are you up to? He says, do you want to get drunk online? Yeah, cool! And that's what we would do. No reason, no rhyme, he just did it. He just enjoyed it. And as he said to me, it's like, you're the brother-in-law I like. It can't go wrong. This is fantastic. Myles Byron McInnes. Good bugger. Pure and simple. Good bugger. He done well. He brought a lot of amusement and a lot of life to a lot of people. He made his family feel good. He made his friends feel great. The fact that he would come all the way from Australia for a party for one of you guys. Geez, I'm hard pressed to go to bloody Sydney for a party for one of my friends. Yet he'll fly all the way over. The man was the consummate bachelor, and he was great for it. My son and my nephew, George, I wanted them to come up here and say something about it. And the best thing that they could come up with, which I thought was absolutely perfect, was, yeah, bugger off, kids. Come on, the grown-ups are here now, come on, bugger off. And I don't know, but it was perfect. He was a good man. He was a great man. And in the short amount of time I knew him, I think he was fantastic. And I'm almost sorry that I didn't know him anywhere near as much as you guys did. Because the more I hear about him, the more I like him. And I liked him a lot to begin with. Myles Byron McInnes. Cheeky monkey, top bloke, said it like it was. What more can I say?
Thanks.
So we're basically at the end of everything tonight. We may have a few videos if it's looking.
We'll just play some music.
We'll just play some music to see it through. But after this, there's some food and coffee and tea out there for everyone. Please help yourself. And then afterwards, we're going to go and have a Myles McInnes infused booze up at the Wonder Bar, where there are no holds barred, and it should be quite entertaining. Please, no?
Listen to the music and then go out.
So if everyone would just like to listen to what we have to say, and then we'll just take it from there. And you can all make your way out.
Yeah, just make your way out, get something to eat.
There's food, there's drink down there. Please help yourselves. And thank you all very much for coming.
She is, and you make it. You make it. We were waiting for your floating. Your beauty floating to go. I knew. I felt it down there. I just practiced. I feel like it's not.
It did get wet today.
Should we selfie?
Oh, my cousin. My hair wasn't.
Right.